We fixed it. All right then. Here's a joke. Joke of the day. Hello to the scribes. 28th of April, year of our Lord 2019. There's a joke for today. Red or blue, whichever one you vote, they'll all lie to you. Let's do this. So, just checking the video quality. Tried to go live twice and kept crashing. So, just get set up. Good day to you. Bit of go-go juice, bit of coffee. Let the scribes drop in. How are you? We're gonna have a hangout later, about 7:30, 8. So if any of these topics interest you, please come back, bring your family, friends, loved ones, and we will do questions and answers on the title there of assets protection. It is this week. It has been in the news that the BAR have been talking about parental alienation, the bar parental alienation week. Last week there was subjects brought up. So for those of you that don't know what parental alienation is, remember unalienable rights and alienation, and parental alienation is alienation basically is defined as a process of psychologically manipulating a child into showing fear, disrespect or hostility towards a parent, mum or dad. It can happen when couples split up. We explore and we look at and we will evaluate and understand the concept and how the term is now used in family court. So if you are estranged, ostracized, alienated, separated, have your rights, lest we not forget now, let he who will be deceived. Those that do not know they have any rights, therefore have no rights. So this is the realm of which you are interfacing in when you are trying to get your justice for your your property, which is your legal title. Yes, your title to your asset would be a legal title because of the registration. So you're going to think this is a bit weird. It won't surprise you because it's from me. But when you do want to claim ownership, I'll show you something like this in a minute once I've edited it, but it will come under the bill of sale. Now this is for an item which is an automobile. Let me get some milk. We'll say morning, say hello to each other, to the family that's dropped in, have a little chat, give me your comments. I'll need to do a little bit of editing for you. Let me get some spare paper and some sellotape. And some scissors. What we're cutting up, an old receipt. So I'm just going to redact a little bit of the personal data. Yes, it's in persona. The data will redact. So apologies to anybody who's a father like myself who is suffering being estranged and alienated from blood, assets, family. If you've been to a court and you've had judgment, then yeah, we could talk about that and how it went, your experience, not now but later on, any experiences of the family court, terminology, how they interface, what they say, things like this. That would be interesting. I've got some knowledge and experience. That's ultimately why we are here, not because we're interested in getting free bills and chasing a pot of gold, But when you have dispute over property and you do it in the wrong way, you generally find that you lose. Rights are there for everyone, but if you don't know how to enforce them, that's what this system plays upon, and it will test you and see. When it finds out you don't know your rights, it carries on as such. So, wow, I've left off the chassis number, yeah, because that's particular. So just 1 minute. There's a little bit more. When you do a transfer sale, it's better not. When we do automobiles, it's better not to use. No, well, what are you doing? I'm on making a video. Can you leave, please, as soon as possible? Like, no. Get out. Go. Thank you very much. You can't go on YouTube yet. You're too young. Hey up. Right. When you are referencing an iron horse, an automobile, or private mode of conveyance, I prefer automobile because it starts with the magic AU, and you can choose to call it what you so please. Use your own reasons for the language that you use. You see how we explain the languages, the phonics, you know, making it presentable. That's another bull I found the other day. Presentable. Right, so there you go. That will say the basics. It's not A4, so it's not military. I was thinking about cutting the corners off like Brother Aid in Sheffield, so you haven't got the 4 corner rule. Rounded edges would be nice. Notice the colour of card. I haven't fixed anything to the back. The colour of card is purple. The colour of ink is blue. The signatory is in red with the thumbprints, and the given name in lowercase. There's not a capital letter in that verbiage there. Maybe you can do a screenshot. If I pause it there, yes, you'll do a screenshot of that, please. And then I will show you. Then I will read out what it says. Bill of sale dated 1st of July 2018, and then I've written the numbers underneath, and I've given it a stamp with one of them little black things as well. So you've got words, numbers, letters, everything for clarification. And it says the seller is listed there with the details, and then the buyer is listed there, the name and the address details there. In with the automobile description, you have make, model, chassis number, colour, and some of it here underneath the sellers, the bill of sale, the date, and the automobile particulars and description. Among that being the chassis number, which is covered up. No registration number is used. Let's sit down, there we go. This automobile has been sold and transferred as of thus day, 1st July 2018, in the form of £20 of carrots. I, David, hereby attest that I, the seller of the private automobile described herein, and that the information is true and correct to the best of my belief or knowledge. Then there's a thumbprint underneath my the seller, so that's me, and my name is David, so it's at an angle of 45, just touching into the thumbprint. I've put the date there, and then I've put there that is the autograph and seal, and the same for the Queen, Anna Maria's right hand thumbprint, the name going across lower, and the date, and then autograph and seal. So the only bits that are in red are the thumbprint, the name, and the date there, autograph and seal in blue. On purple card, good quality, not A4. The reason for that, if you use your own due diligence and discovery, is, as I mentioned in the other video about bankruptcy, the other sea that we are currently immersed in swimming in, then this all pertains to that part there. Now, we're going to sidestep a minute, and we're going to say that with regards to traffic enforcement from parking services, here's the update from Stoke Parking Services regarding both of the references that I've obtained. One of them purposely returned to the office of the issuing authority there, which they got the issuing ticket back in the yellow and black affixture the adhesion contract there that was stuck to the window shield, and it was no contract, no consent. They didn't like it, they didn't wash it, but I wanted to point it out as a matter of principle. Those that say you can do this and you can return it and it gets you remedy and cure, we'll test it out. So I've done that for you, and they are refusing to honour that. No contract, no consent, return to the office with proof. There was a phone call made. There was a agent officer of the agency there for the parking services that spoke to me. I have the recording of the call. I mentioned that it was being recorded. She proceeded to tell me the only way to deal with this is to appeal it. And I pointed out, to be guilty, you need to be judged and deemed guilty. This is just a claim. It's not an appeal in law. Is this policy or law? She told me this was law. She's legally trained. A reminder, we were recording the call, and I said there is a dispute that's going to be happening after the conditional acceptance. This is in fact law. You've told me an untruth there. You are not, lawfully, legally trained. You've been recorded, and you've told me a lie. Are you aware of that? And she got a bit uppity, as they do, and I didn't, feel any sympathy or professionalism or knowledge of any kind of issue other than the policy that she was trying to enforce on behalf of the Club of Rome. So, yeah, hilarious. The other ticket I got the day after on purpose, so I can appeal. No, I can deal with that, and then we can dispute it. All right, so dispute is the key word there, not appeal. Deemed, interesting. So the Traffic Management Act 2004, and there's a penalty charge notice, and there's a vehicle registration number, and there's a Mr. and a dear here, and they thank me and the entity, the trust, the house of, for getting in touch with them. Recent communication in connection with the above numbered penalty charge notice. That's a PCN. Considering we're talking about mums and dads and children and alienation, this is small fry. We didn't get into it for this, but this is just a reflection on the mums and dads and the assets and the family law courts that the bar are running at the moment. It's a stark comparison, I know. And they understand my concern at having received a penalty, and they genuinely sympathise with the situation that I found myself in on the day in question. The traffic regulation order restricts parking without any requirement for a person parking their vehicle to enter into a contractual arrangement with the council. So the traffic regulation order, when you're being told that you're being given an order, that requires what? A bill. That's fair enough, as we've pointed out, under the true historical, factual processes that are at hand with the administrative systems of creditor, debtor, bankruptcy. So the traffic regulation order restricts parking without any requirement for a person parking their vehicle to enter into a contractual arrangement with the council. So the traffic regulation order restricts parking without requirement for a person parking their vehicle to enter into a contractual arrangement. That's an assumption and presumption. Your assertion that there should be proof of a contractual arrangement with the council is an erroneous assertion. Well, to the men and women and scribes of Indy, that is, quite frankly, if you've got any assets, younger ones in the room, please turn down the volume or ask them to leave. You have 3, 2, 1, no seconds. Your assertion that there should be proof of contractual arrangement with the council is an erroneous assertion, and the council does not enter into a contract with drivers who park on their roads. That's quite frankly bulla, shit, scheisen. It's erroneous assertion. Well, I'm not basing it on assertions. We're basing it on correction of titles, management, permissions, and assumptions and presumptions. So, as a gesture of goodwill, I am prepared, without prejudice to the county council, to extend, without prejudice to the council, not to me, well, here we go, to extend the discounted payment of £35 per penalty for a further 7 days from the date of this letter. Please note overleaf for details of how to make a payment. Please note that if no payment is made, a notice to owner will be forwarded to the registered owner keeper of the vehicle, who will then be entitled to make a formal representation. Please be aware that I will be unable to enter into any further correspondence until the notice to owner is returned. I regret having to disappoint you. Well, does he now? Well, that's he regrets having to disappoint me. He's apologised there. He doesn't need to if he's just doing his orderly official duty, and appointed as such and instructed and required to carry out such duties. So I will just point out, fam and scribes, that him, the officer, regretting having to disappoint me is an admission there. And however he trusts that I will understand and accept the rationale behind his decision. The rationale. I'm looking at law. Man's looking at lawful points and contracts and consent, and they regret having to disappoint us under their, orders, and they trust that we will understand. This is business now. This is business in the first degree. He's very kindly used his discretionary powers as gesture of goodwill and without prejudice to the county council. What about without prejudice to man? Eye of creator. I hear what you're saying. You've got a letter without prejudice. That's what we're saying here. So leave it with me. The letter is dated that date, 26th of April. The clock is ticking. So I'm still getting since the first video, it's been a significant time. The lady told me the only way to deal with these is to fill out the forms and appeal. Well, you've seen it, testamentary. I haven't filled out any forms and I haven't appealed, but yet there's a letter. Has it got the references on? Things we do for you. Things we do. Proof of claim. There's a letter dated. What you got? 26th of April. You can't see it. It's not going to. 26th of April. Won't zoom in. That's to do. It's just to prove that they told me on the telephone with the voice recording. I think I've put it on the .com. It is somewhere. That you can only appeal. But to appeal, you must be judged guilty in a court of law. I haven't been judged guilty, so there's no appeal because there's no judgment. They are deeming and assuming. Now, I have dealt with this and I have disputed it correctly in law, and they've let me. So that proves to you there's more than one way to deal with it. First lie. Second lie, we are the creditor. We are all bankrupt. They are in the trustee capacity. It's not a private issuing firm here. It's the government. It's a local arm of the government. So these have what? Secretaries, transport ministers, things like that to deal with. And we will do so. You could also now look at paying both of these, 35 each, total of £70 of credit here, of legal currency. They want £35 of legal currency for 2 tickets. 7 days from the date of this letter. You pay it under duress. You keep in honour. It's entirely up to you. There's many in various ways, and you keep in honour, and you say you've paid it under duress in fear of the force of law, and you raise a counterclaim upon this one against this man. Now, against this department. Now, what you've got here, this is hilarious. This is no liability at all. Okay. This is the jokes that you get in contract law. Yes, yours sincerely, compliance officer. No, that name it's not on a wet biro. It's a scanned name. There is no liability, no reverse liability, no full public commercial liability. A compliance officer, an officer where, dodging again. Anybody could have typed and printed this out. It's very, very basic, and it's an insult to man. It really is. Those are just scribbles on the back from where I was printing earlier. Absolutely. Club of Rome, BS, all right? So the way to get around that is to produce one of these. Now, if you are on the V5 registration document, and my legal entity, when I say I, Mr. David, may be on the V5 registered document with the DVLA. Now, with the legal entity being on the DVLA's systems, they're thinking the V5 registered keeper with legal possessory title only is Mr. David. Well, this trumps legal possessory title, and it hands it over to Anna Maria. So on a day last year in 2018, in law, the titles of property, I use this word loosely, ownership, were transferred. So allodial title was transferred, formerly known as ownership. Stay away from the ships. All right, so that's the transfer of title and evidence under law with that. I might put a thing on the back there, witnessed by and you know, in future get 3 witnesses just to shut them up. You can use the Father, Son and Holy Spirit, and you can reference the paragraphs in the Bible where Jesus will tell you how many men will constitute witnesses in the Christian faith to a fact there. Judgment, stones casting, sin, we've got it locked down. When you go to the courts, what do they ask you to do? Swear on a Bible, a 2 bull. So interesting. All right, so that's quite a stark it's a stark comparison to sons and daughters and assets. Now, when you have the certificate of birth and you've got the informants and you've got everything on there with regards to the registration, it's the same principle as the V5 registration, but it is to the government and to the general registrar. I love my coffee. The general registrar is the one that will take the titles and swap them and perform the registration and give you the certificate to prove that the titles have been swapped, the CQV 1666, amongst the 3 trusts, amongst the master trust that we've brought to you. And it's not nice, fam. It's really not nice. So then you've lost, after the age of 7, the allodial title right to your son and daughter. This is not a joke. This is not someone who's high on drugs. This is not to scare you. This is fact. And so when we saw from April last year onwards the need for man to know about titles and possession and trusts and constructed trusts and how to dissolve them and what to do, the legal system unfortunately will involve the Temple BAR. Now, the Knights Temple BAR of London, the City of London, the Club of Rome, they are nasty. They are thieves. They are a foreign force, like the bankers, a foreign force, and they are not de jure, and they are not genuine. They don't represent England and Wales, Anglo, man, or anything. So this is quite frankly the crux of it now, where we have certificates and bonds and bills of sale are a reference to the darker skinned family, brothers, sisters. Django Unchained, horrific film, not very factual to the extent of, but I will reference that with the fact that when he comes to take Django at the beginning and he ends up crushing that man with his own horse or cart, that man's there going, I got the bill of sale for the slave. And these men, not too long ago, were trading man with bills of sale. So if you can think that this documentation was used, because that is what you should get when you get a bill, when you present it's a commercial outlet there, when you're using your your energies to pay, and we are in bankruptcy. Transfer via endorsement, that's been endorsed and the title has been transferred, so there's not a debt that's been transferred via endorsement on there, but those signatures, autographs and etc. are endorsements of a transfer of title this time instead of a debt. Yes, and as high as it gets, that trumps any court, anything ever, because it's done by the author with authority, AU, periodic element of gold, isn't it, fam? In the correct ink, in the correct colour, in the correct style. And these are autographed, by authors with authority about automobiles. Boom, Shanker. These are the things we will teach you on splspro.com, getting it verbatim. You will need to practice writing that at least 7 times. Let me show you something else before we get back to the registration and the GRO. If you go to one of your local stationery shops and look for things and packs such as, to give you an idea of how cheap and simple it is. I do need to get an embosser. There's one thing missing from that, which is raising the paper to make it embossed. We get a pack of these. I like the fine ones. I'm looking at calligraphy pens. Doesn't matter about the brand. And you buy packs of card in various size, colours, so you can have your different. When you're doing trusts, you need colours and inks and stuff for trusts. Look at your express trust ink and paper significance when you're doing different types of trust and how you manage them. So give it a camera over. There's, you've got 3 items there, total of about 15 squid, 40 sheets in there, different sizes and colours. Try not to use A4, and so it helps out tremendously when you are when you are doing these things. You'll need an ink pad. What else have we got kit wise to show you? A little bit of something like this. If we get it to stand up. Stand up. Bit of ludicrous. When I move, you move. Just like that. When I move, you move. Stand up. This is one of them things from what my mum gave me, what she had in her office, which is a date changer. So you bet them from any stationery shop. Not essential, but just a little thing there. Get yourself an ink pot, proper old, you know, well not old, but a proper ink pot. So you got your ink type signatory in black ink though, that one, be wary of black ink. And the thumb pad, we don't use blood, we don't put you know, organic compounds on documents that we send off to the establishment and such places. That would be your simple black pad, comes with the red pad inside, put your thumbprint on, and right thumbprint affixed to documentation. We haven't covered when you do get letters and signatories, what side is the debtor signing on, what side does the creditor sign on when you sign in. And don't forget, Elizabeth, QE2 and others have signed documents at the middle in the top of the, you know, not right, not left, but the middle at the top. Think of a piece of paper, put the triangle on it. On the paper, you got 2 points there, one at the top, haven't you, when you're signing 4. So, yes, the rectangle can have 3 places to sign on. That's to give you my 2 penneth on this. It's assets, property, how it is the same, even though one is non-biological, basically just a bit of metal and, you know, land, yeah, habitats, you know, intellectual property, tangible, non-tangible. There is a lot of property to describe, but most of man's 3 major points of property would be the sons and the daughters, the bricks and mortar, and then the iron horse they have in that kind of an order, your family, your house, residual estate. So not nice, not good. So the Temple Bar didn't know so much of the terminology of parental alienation. Well, let me put it to you like this: when you stop a mum or a dad seeing a son or daughter with legal intervention by non-disclosure of various contracts and titles that are going off at hand, it's very, very, you know, untoward. Whose benefit is it operating? Whose benefit is it operating for? Not the mum or the dad. How much money is used and how much time is taken up? I know personally 2 years and £20,000 taken up to get a court writ after various again, I'm going to swear because it's really just annoying, but the bullshit that they make you do, and the forms and the times and the you know, the submittal and the pompousness of it, the terminology and the language used. You often don't know what's going off. You don't understand. You're made to sign a lot of stuff. They wear dark black. They talk in gaggles in corners. You don't get anything. Things change at the last minute, and you get promised certain things. Doesn't always ring true. You are then having to look at the mum or the dad, either or, telling lies about one another, which is the psychological damage. So what I'd like to say is I come from a broken family, and I knew while I was bringing up my 2 sons with the mother that beating and violence and lying and all of that would do no good, because it hurts the ones that are growing up. So we all carry, to some extent, you know, emotional scarring, baggage, trauma, and ones out there are parents now that are repeating what happened to them. So you have a circle going off by I don't know, an autonomous circle of emotional and physical, you know, damage, and a war between sons and daughters being assets, not just the property. So there is a lot at play here, and sometimes it's traumatic for the family breakdown, for the mum or the dad to not have to you know, face losing them at all. If there is issues of drugs, violence, debt, you know, and other such things that escalate, and bad management, gambling and so forth, then this is another reason, alcohol, why the families break down. So it doesn't seem fair that there is an establishment out there that will offer to help you and take your money and dress up very smart and look very official and talk very, you know, frankly and quite, you know, quite, you know, confusingly in another language, and you pay and you go and you lose and you don't understand. So these little things here with regards to signatories and the alienation, the ostracization, what else did I say? Estranged. There's quite a lot here, but in law, you are having your rights ignored. You are submitting, and you are entertaining this system. Now I've done it and lost. Andy's been part of Fathers for Justice, and we've had a march in London recently regarding rights and what's going off the court's language, and the fact they're now facing up to the damage that sometimes they can do through their legal interventions and protections, the guardianships that operate when they launch these ships of guardians. And sometimes it's really bad. We need to think of the sons and daughters. This is why we're here. So the law is set for you to use. If you don't know the law, then you won't use it. You appoint others who we believe do know the law and do, use it correctly every day, and it turns out that they don't quite know these kind of details when it comes to argumentation. And if you don't know it, they won't bring it to you. You could argue that it's outdated. It's hundreds of years old. Well, a lot of stuff's old, and it doesn't matter. That's because time passes on. We do evolve, we do change. The EU and leaving there, Brexit, and the commercial issues that are arising there. None of this is to do with man or anything to do. It's all to do with commerce, and how man's going to move through borders, who's going to control that, who's going to be making money, who's going to be issuing licenses, who's going to be making the most trade here, who can block who off. Look at Venezuela. Isn't it funny that Venezuela still classed as a sovereign country? We're going on about sovereignty. Funny that, how Venezuela's now under a little bit of turbulence. Look how many sovereign land masses, countries and nations are actually left. The system is doing something here, and it changes stuff ever so slightly. Here's another example. Equity acts in persona. So why do you think they're shutting everywhere and putting in a computer and a telephone number? Because then got nowhere to go in persona. I remember my granddad, grandma and relatives in the time always going down to sort stuff out. Very seldom did they pick up a handset. They didn't have one, but very seldom did they pick up the phone and sort stuff out. They'd always get suited and booted up, and they'd be off and they'd be out, and they'd come back and say, sorted that's done. Seen John, man about a dog, dealt with. But when they close the office, when they close the doors, when they give you a telephone number and they insist on using emails, and you're just ringing all the time and you're not recording anything and you're not sending anything and you're not taking any meetings or bookings and appointments, and everywhere's got a call centre now and an agent that tries to get you into a different frame of mind. It's very, very scary. Not only is the paper-based money system in danger, our credit control is being threatened, and we're looking at getting further chips from the wallets of the cards into our skin, and ultimate control by the Zionist banking elite. Now, when the banks fail, we shouldn't bail them out. We've bailed them out. The public, general public, have bailed out the elite bankers that swoon and take all the profit, send it to offshore accounts. We've paid it out. We've bailed them out. They allocate titles and ownership and shares and capital gains. But are any of you getting those capital gains? Are you seeing any of the rewards of the public? The same merit. These bankers and the governments, which are corporations that are running by the Club of Rome under Francis d'Assisi and the Papal Sees, have created many, many strange terminologies, of which I cannot bring into play right now, but I have put some links on the .com of recent documents that Brother B has sent me, certificates of extract, numbers in particular, and we've got a lot to discuss, and anybody that's got anything that has transpired in a judicial realm that you can add to back any of this up, your story, please, with personal details redacted, interaction with officers, and with regards to property and horses and so forth, then that's a simple way. That's child's play, literally child's play to do. It's just about repetition and the way that we see ourselves, who we see ourselves as, and sticking to that. we'll go to the comments. I'll have a chat. I've got to email a couple of scribes. Michael, I'll get in touch with you, and pretty laid back day, to be honest. A few jobs to be getting on with, and then we'll see. Yeah, we'll confirm and launch a hangout for later on in a couple of hours with Andy, myself, Kevin. I'll see if Josh is around. I'll touch base with G Star, and yeah, we'll go to the comments. So the Law Society know what they're doing full well. They've always known about parental alienation and ostracization and the assets and the true rights of man. It's their society that have these rules that are unlawful, and because we're ignorant by non-disclosure and programming, they have it hook, line and sinker. So it takes a couple of brave and sometimes idiotic dads, to be fair, to get out there and respect to all of the ones that have fought for rights and protesting and fathers for justice, and the march that's gone off, because noise needs to be made. And there's not a right way or a wrong way to make noise, as long as you don't harm anybody. As you see fit, you have a right for expression. You know, you have a right to do whatever you want and express and point out any injustices or you know, wrongs, that's crimes that are going off. So they know full well, they know a lot, they know how it should be, and they know how it is not right. But because we're ignorant, you know, ignorance is no defence. So what we need to do is turn the tables around in light of current political events, and you know, there is a lot to touch upon. We'll expand later on various topics that we need to. This is just a mockery that we have a nation of men, mums and dads, parents, fathers, you know, creditors, creators. You created that asset. There was no intervention with the government, so why have the government got a claim on it? You know, that's as simple as it is. And you and I, Andy, you know, we can speak and speak and speak, but the message needs to get out fast and effectively and concisely for debate. We had a lot of influx to Alderhay and the mums to Liverpool there. We will tailor some forums and look at, when we say trust correction, constructed statutory trust gets dissolved when you can express. And express trust is when you express the trust, you know, and you can do that verbally and written. You can back up the verbal correction with the written. You can have paperwork, you can have documentation, last will and testament, you can be the testator, you can have express private, you can have many. So just bear in mind, all of this is applicable to, you know, your situation and the positions of the claimant and the trust that's set up that you're trying to correct at the time. And most of the V5 and the birth certificate are Westminster, Whitehall, public, statutory, constructed trusts that you would express the correct title and trust positions, which would dissolve. You would reaffirm that through your paperwork and appointment of trustees in offices in capacity. So that's the key there, and the reasons for this: thumbprint, autograph, no capitals, blue writing, red pen, signing, and laid out like that is for your consideration. This is not instruction, it's not legal advice. It's just a point of note to be making there, all right? And well, we are expanding on this later on. I'm sorry to all the mums and dads that are in pain, that are alienated like myself. It's been 07, so 10 to 12 years now then for me, not seeing my blood. Tried to contact on Facebook. I do have a right. Initially I opened up sovereign cyber solicitors on Facebook to learn about man's rights for assets, property. I had to start somewhere. It did start with the it's a bit cold, bit knowledge of it started off with the knowledge of legalese. And what is legalese? What is a court? What types of courts are there? What types of judges are there? Then it looks at the instrumentation. Then I looked at the assets, which took me to vehicles, cars, mortgages, loans, signatures, consent authority. And we went on a pathway that way. So we had to start at the bottom. We had to, you know, start somewhere, and we had to learn the key parameters of these, Club of Rome corporations that are simply corporations masquerading as official departments of and governments and courts when they're not courts, they're not departments, and they're not governments. What? Incredible. So it's with great, a heavy heart and great sadness that we find ourselves in this situation where we haven't got what we think we've got, and it's only by sneaky little legal tricks that they have got what they've got. So if you can do some honourable, clean-handed, lawful deeds, execute some deeds and protect assets, change titles, correct assumptions and presumptions, the 12 presumptions of the court is quite a good one to look at amongst your maxims and last will and testaments, and looking at why we speak like this and the terminology we use, and the justification for that, in whether it be monetary, property, money, I, and as we've spoken before. So I hope that does help a little bit in the areas of and the interfacing. Erroneous, wow, I'll give them erroneous, let me tell you. And it gets tiring, it does. We need to have this put down, not just case law made and put in a glass frame and put there for all to see. The banking industry does need to be overhauled and held to account, and it needs to manage itself and not be such a leech on our energy as it is. And see my video about bankruptcy for that. Asset protection, management, what was put in, estranged, and parental alienation, illegal aliens to the system. We're not aliens, it's not alienation, it is just ignorance of rights. Your rights are your property, and if your rights are ignored, that's an abuse of your rights, abuse of your property. Well, now we're suffering torts, aren't we? Now we're just looking into acquiescence, and belligerence. It's the machine doesn't have an emotion. We often get asked the question, if I approach the courts and explain to them, do you think they'll give me mercy? Check what mercy is, and mercia, the places, and mercy. No, they won't give you mercy. There is no heart, there is no emotion, there is no discretion of any kind towards you or your way of, or how hard up you are, or the mitigating circumstances often will be thrown out, and they'll just come to the bottom line. It doesn't matter if you cry, it doesn't matter very seldom what excuses or what you've got that that would be mitigating. These contracts and these signatures and these agents and these officers and these statements and everything else all quickly build up into a case against, and before you know it, you've tried to do the right thing, you've tried to be honourable, you've attended, you've signed, you didn't know what you was doing, and at the last minute you've watched one of these videos and you've thought, oh my days, and you realise everything's gone that way, and it needs amending and correcting. So you're allowed to make mistakes. You have been tricked. There has been non-disclosure. Basically means that you can dissolve most things. When you find out you've been lied to, tricked, hoodwinked, then it will dissolve. But until you mention that you know and have the knowledge, they will never act. So you see how they can keep playing this game until man knows and stands up and can. When you make the claim of any kind, you need to have that proof, and if you have not got the proof, or you haven't got the evidence or the case file or anything like that, or the paperwork or the bundle or the ability to speak and present it and argumentatively put it down, then it's not going to go well, and that's how it wins. So the Club of Rome, QE2, we have an issue, coming from YouTube channels, Mans in Vans, Andy, myself, you, Scribes, your channel. Where was it? Where is it spoke about anywhere else? Good old Jamie Oliver and the work he's done, brother Jamie, and of the Oliver clan and tribe with that food chain there. Pink slime, never mind chlorine, bleach, watch chicken. None of that's been in the news, not an iota. It's been kept straight out the news. But we need to thank brother Jamie of the Oliver tribe and clan for the good work he's done in the schools and the poisoning there with the chemicals and the pesticides, again from the elite. Again, they have government contracts. School dinners are brilliant. Yes, they're healthy for everybody. Jamie went and had a look. Bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. Get them out. Twizzlers out. Get that out. What's that doing? Too much salt. Amazing, isn't it? So don't believe the hype. Bit like Public Enemy, yes? Don't believe the hype, because beliefs and knowing are two different things. And if you are just basing stuff on beliefs, then perhaps we need to get a bit more factual, tangible evidence and research done. Jerry, hello. Kevin, grand rising, greetings and salutations. Will, Andy. Will Carr, the greatest lost secret of the Pythagoreans rediscovered and explained. Thank you. Oh, check that, John. Also remember that property belongs to you and said property has exclusive rights to you as their property. Yes. Well, yes. If you want to get down on an atomic level, everything is fundamentally atomic, and you can't take it with you. You only ever have temporary title to that, and then when you exit the realm, it's all returned, and the atoms, and nothing lasts forever. Everything breaks down. So the property that you think is property is just atomic in structure and won't last forever, and you can't take it with you. So you actually have nothing. You just have a use of whilst you are here. What? An automobile? Yes, Alan. Nona, JM, and all here on this strong rising. Yes, Jay. Red ship, blood alive. Erroneous is a leakage of voltage from one circuit to another. How fitting! Yes, Jerry. I didn't know that. Thank you very much. Morning, Michael. I have read the email. Interesting. We'll speak later. All right, brother. Easy looks. Hello, sister. Getting a bad back's going away. All right. Cows on. Karma. Yes, John. Agreed. SPO's mail. What's going on here? Justin. Who's SPO's mail? Justin. Afternoon all. That's not connected to us. I haven't made that account. I don't know who that is, but it looks interesting. Thank you for saying after. Yeah, sorry. Easy, Albert. Carry out duties. All right, Jerry. See you later. Nonna. It's Angela. Easy now. I like that. Albert, thank you, brother. Dead war names can never have a soul. Yeah, well, we've got to sort this out, Angela. This is what we're here for. We'll be chatting later on this evening with the family, and you can ask us questions and bring your family to that later, all right? Explore Scotland and Turkey, two totally different land masses there, but I do like that. I've explored Bosnia and the Bosnian pyramids and various other non-connected continents, so thank you for that. Hello, brother or sister, and new scribe. I don't think we've said hello before. And on my channel, it's a hangout on Sun and Moon with Josh. I haven't checked them all yet physically. Go towards the 3/4 part. There's David, Josh, Sister Karen, Flat Earth Dude, and then Flat Earth Dude brings his friend on who I think his charges with the state troopers, and then going down to the courts and how he handled that and dropping the charges. So Jay, we're still working on it. It may well be. I did skim and look, and I thought it looked like it had been taken from my channel when Sun and Moon went. So there's a slim chance it'll be there, but I haven't physically checked. I'll do that later, but you're welcome to go to Indie, look at all the Sun and Moons with Josh X, and see if you can pick that up in the 3/4 to the end of the videos. Good rising from Southern Nevada, Bosh. Hello, Stephanie, and hello from your brothers and sisters across the pond. Just been watching the centre of the earth from the time zone Greenwich. So interesting. Finishing times, Virgil, money. I don't understand that. I know what the Greenwich Mean Time is, and I know the Egyptian pyramids of Giza are roughly in the middle of the landmass, not Greenwich. So it's slightly off there with that, but I need a little bit more. info. So I'll take my phone off flight mode, and I will be touching base with Andy, Kev, and I'll try Josh as well. Josh has been a little bit scarce. I think he's busy at the minute doing some bits and bobs. I haven't actually spoke to him for most of this week, so I'll touch base and check in on him, see how he is. My emails to answer, the hangout later on, and yes, we will talk about how to rescind, break, and correct the current titles, exporting, out of United Kingdom back to Anglo Earth, England, England and Wales, Ireland, Scotland, not the United Kingdom. Simple paperwork, administrative exercise. This is the transfer of the titles for the bill of sale to prove who has, and as I've said, in the form of £20 of carrots. Is everything that's needed there in the correct style to be held in a court of law. There are 2 copies of this as well, and there was one for one for Anne-Marie, so I wrote it out twice. There was one in each folder, and yes, this has not been sent anywhere else, but it will be used in the argumentation and dispute to say that it is private property, and it will be copies sent to the CEO of the DVLA, and I will correct once again and settle with the maybe ministerial department of the government. Watch this space, and particularly the doc over the next 4 weeks. We have some private and strong, exciting news to bring to you, and we will have to be careful how we do that for various reasons. So we recognise the fact that YouTube channels like this are monitored, watched, shields, trolls, agents, and we are being careful, even more so careful. We are not scared, we are not timid, we are not shy, we are honourable, peaceful, and lawful in every way that we are required, obliged, and duted, to do. So we will continue to do that, and we have to recognise fast, soon, about this situation, this interaction, and how you want to play the game that isn't the game. It's your life, it's your assets, your sons and daughters' lives. Your blood, sweat, and tears are getting swapped for bits of paper that are negative in value. We've had enough of the sea. I'm getting a bit seasick myself, short on the patience, and we will expand with the brothers. And Jackie, and who else? Jackie, Bush. Yeah, we'll sort this out as well. The ladies to bring to you, maybe on the hangout tonight, if we can get lucky with contact emails. 20 to 2, quarter to 2. Yeah, so thank you all, much love. There's a lot to be concerned about when the City of London and its barristers are talking about family courts, asset protection, guardianship, parental alienation. It's not a new thing, it's gone on for hundreds of years, and it's getting worse. So anybody that has been affected by this issue, from me to you, from my heart to your heart, I know the pain and I apologise. We will make this so it doesn't happen in the future, like the banks not being bailed out in the future. They can sort their own crap out. We'll sort our stuff out. We'll appoint as we need to, and we will have management, correction, and we will have an enforcement of your rights, an assembly, agents, representatives, emissaries, ambassadors, whatever you want to step in and help out with. That's what we need help with. Escorts going to places with witnesses, community link-ups, helping out there. If you've got free time and some resources on your hand, that's all it takes often, and then a little bit of help here and there soon sparks off. Man needs to see man. Do something now. I think we've lost the trust too much. We're going past the point of no return, where some of us have to now get back out there and brave it. To the ones in the community that I see giving out food, soup kitchens, cooking, Birmingham, I want to say, wow. I see the other day some shops in Birmingham, and community leaders, I don't know if it was churches, mosques, the shops, the community, a mixture of all of them. They had all the electric hobs and stuff out, and big massive pans, and they would look like they were just giving food away to anybody that might want it. That touched my heart in a special way. It shows me, you know, as you will see, man is not like we are purported to be. We are not warmongering, evil, greedy, you know, psychopathic, emotionless, zombie warriors with no hearts. No, we're not. That's the system, the elite, the bankers. We are totally opposite, and I see that there is good out there. I see that there is love. I see that there is, you know, hope, and I see and I meet a great many every day through my trade and my trade interaction, and it's beautiful. It really is. So I just want to say that we have the ability to change and to effect it. So have a chat with us later tonight, the family, the team, with our beautiful, you know, sovereigns. Not so much sovereigns, that's another thing. The priority would be private and self-governing. Sovereign was just a creation because it comes through in many aspects of gospels and books and presentations and ideologies and philosophies and governance in itself, and the word sovereignty being used in Brexit and Parliament and the Queen. Well, if we the man aren't sovereign, then we can't give anything away to someone else to be sovereign if you don't have it yourself. So it doesn't matter. The word sovereign is going to be used less and less, not because we're scared, not because we've been told not to use it, but I want you to focus on the words self-governing and private. That's it. That's what sovereign is, in a way, initially. Enough to look after yourself, enough to manage yourself, and enough to deal with it and be, you know, private, not accepting in the public or the public liabilities. So if you want to know how to be sovereign, you've got to be self-sustaining, self-governing and private, and knowing that you have a way to go from private into the public if you choose. And when you do that, that's not you. That's not my name. That's not my name. That's not my name. You know, that's it. That's how you got to think about it now and get that training in there. And the phone rings. Hello, can I speak to David, please? Yes, who's calling, please? Hello there, David. What? I said, who's calling, please? This is a private number, a private shipping line. I require to know who is the caller. Identify yourself, please. Yes, it's Janice from such a... Oh, hello there, Janice. And whom are you after again? Mr. David... All right, he's not here right now. Okay, what's it regarding, please? I can't tell you because you're not... Ah, that's right, and that's how we do it. All right, so peace and love. Let's go and have a nice Sunday afternoon. We'll see you this evening. We're talking about the contents and title in this video, and we'd like you to bring your friends and family that may have been affected, that are being affected, and we would like them to redact personal data, you know, and we would anybody that's in some kind of a movement that's fighting for, that needs help, that we could promote what we've got: status, standing, capacity, thumbprints, autograph, equity, highest realm of, bring them, inform them, and we will see what we can do. Anything else we need to know about, or we need to be, or we need to you know, look at, please bring that tonight. Let us know. As always, we are continuously improving. We're by no means perfect. I have to commit 40 hours a week trade in, and the website, and then personal stuff, and then emails and messages and work, and my brain is hurting. 111, the God frequency. Last bit, I accidentally found out this, you know, when I say my 111 and the 3, and I'd found out what it was. Well, just the other night, I want you to all consider looking at this video. It's very, very, very poignant, interesting, and it scared me a little bit. Did scare me a little bit. Oh, wait there. I want to give you this title before we go. If you haven't looked at the Giants of Sardinia and the wishing well, the well of Santa Crista, I'd like you to look at that in your spare time. And the title to the video: God frequency found. Okay, go away with that. In Malta's Hypogeum, Hypogeum. Turns out there's a temple in Malta, an old one, 3000 BC, and it only has, here we go, I'll give you a screenshot for fear of copyright. It only tells you that the God frequency and the resonant range and particle operates at 111 on the frequency range, and it goes through into that video and tells you that 111 what is not only, it's not a voice of God, it's a frequency range of which it comes into, I can't even repeat it, technicalities of which boggle my mind. So when we tell you that, let me just see.
Discovered that the burial mounds of cairns also resonated sounds at this mysterious 100. A professor from Cambridge University in the UK has also discovered that the burial mounds of cairns also resonated sounds at this mysterious 111 hertz.
But there's one before it. Later. Let me get the word.
Converts one's voice to, and the effect this can have on the human brain. Known as the holy frequency, the hypogeum not only carries one's voice throughout, but does so at 111 hertz. Paul Devereaux, an archaeoacoustic...
Now, what? This is what I did. I went, what? And I was pacing up and down when I heard that. I didn't bring 1113 into it. It came to me, and I thought I'd found it now 5 times. And it wasn't 1:11 a.m. If that was the time, I think I would have physically exploded out of every atomic crevice that was possible. So the video, God frequency found in Malta's hypogeum. Work that out. That's the end of the video now. When we say that we're guided and we're helped and we're working for something higher and above. Goodbye. Ciao, bello. See you later.